Story explained here. I'm going to give a recap and summary of the 2021 dark crime drama thriller Karen, a movie written and directed by Coke Daniels and starring Taryn Manning. Before we get into the video, please remember to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell. The movie begins with Karen cleaning off a Black Lives Matter mural on the street because to her Black lives do not matter. We are introduced to Malik and Amarni, an African-American couple who move into a suburban house. Malik and Amarni talk about having children. Karen sees them move in and begins to immediately install security cameras around her home. Karen goes to introduce herself, but refuses to shake hands with Malik because she is racist. Malik asks her why she has so many security cameras installed around her house, and Karen accuses him of casing her house to rob her and says that she has no cash. She tries to pretend that it's a joke. She then tells him that the homeowner association requests they leave trash cans at the curb. Karen goes out to lunch and runs into her brother Mike, who's a police officer. Karen talks to her friend about Malik and Amarni moving in and complains about them leaving the trash on the curb. Karen then notices two black men laughing in the restaurant and being far too jovial. She goes over to the men and warns them to quiet down or else she'll go to the manager. The two black men continue to be jovial, then Karen goes to the manager who kicks them both out of the restaurant. Malik smokes weed in the car while listening to music. Then Karen approaches and asks him if his wife knows he smokes weed. Malik says no, and Karen claims that it will be their little secret and asks him to smoke away from the neighborhood. Karen then asks Malik what he does for a living, and he tells her that he runs the community center. Karen asks what his wife does, and Malik says she's a successful blogger. Malik arrives home and tries to use perfume to get rid of the weed smell, but Amarni can smell the scent on him. Malik asks what's for dinner, but Amarni says she didn't prepare anything for him and they can order in, but Malik settles for eating an apple. Malik talks about Karen and all of her offensive racist remarks. Karen's son watches as Malik and Amarni are about to make sweet love. Then Karen comes in and tells her son to go away as she watches from the window. Malik and Amarni embrace as Karen is turned on by watching the embrace of erotic African-American passion. After making sweet love, Amarni comes to tell Malik that she is not pregnant yet. Then they are interrupted as they hear a noise and Malik grabs his pistol. They both go looking around in their front yard in their bathrobes. A dog jumps out from behind the trash cans. Malik accuses the dog of racism. Amarni notices Karen's camera pointed at their house as Karen watches both of them and maliciously eats popcorn in foreboding lighting as she sees Malik has a gun. Amarni goes over to talk with Karen and introduces herself. Amarni offers Karen her homemade pecan pie. Amarni asks about the camera pointed directly at their house. Amarni asks her to reposition the camera. Karen tells Amarni to put on curtains so her son doesn't see her making love with Malik. Karen closes the door on Amarni, then maliciously disposes of the pecan pie. Malik and Amarni set up curtains, then lovingly embrace as Malik praises her for being college-educated and socially aware and a strong black woman. Malik says he will never want another woman besides her. Karen watches maliciously while smoking in moody foreboding lighting. Malik meets Karen's son and they start playing basketball. As they playfully practice together, he is then forced to leave as Karen menacingly approaches and asks Malik to put in antifreeze in her car. Karen caresses Malik's hand, making him spill the antifreeze. She then invites Malik to come into her house to wash up. Malik then goes into Karen's house as she tries to get him to take off his shirt. Malik goes to the bathroom but then sees a foreboding room and then sees Karen's camera set up. He goes into the washroom, then finds a Confederate flag on a soap dispenser in the bathroom, along with Confederate memorabilia lining the walls. Karen then offers Malik a drink as she fetishizes his black body. Malik returns home and tells Imani that Karen is surveying them. Imani is angry at Malik, thinking he is cheating on her with Karen. Malik tells Imani about Karen's control room. Imani decides to install their own security cameras. Then the installer tries to hit on Imani, showing that he is married too, and tries to initiate an affair, but she refuses. Karen is at the homeowner association meeting as they discuss business. Karen tells the homeowner association about Malik and Imani. Then Karen tells the homeowner association about her list of transgressions against Malik and Imani. Karen says only people who can afford to move into that suburban neighborhood should live there. Karen then uses the slippery slope argument, accusing Imani and Malik of transforming their neighborhood into a black crime-filled ghetto. Karen reveals she is president of homeowner association, but nobody votes for her racist policies. She adjourns the meeting, then fumes angrily. Karen appears menacingly behind Imani after she finishes jogging. Karen tries to reintroduce herself. Karen says, "You people," aggressively. Imani talks about having a housewarming party, and Karen forces herself into being invited. The house party commences as several trendy upscale black people enjoy the festivities. Karen arrives bringing a fruit cake, and Karen admires the African decor. The trendy black man from the restaurant recoils in horror at Karen's presence because she kicked him out of the restaurant. Karen attacks Imani with a microaggression about slavery. Karen makes more microaggressions at the partygoers. The guest remarks that Black Lives Matter, while Karen asks why do Black Lives matter when all lives should matter. Karen says bad things happen to bad people. Karen continues to instigate the trendy black people with racism and microaggressions. Karen asks why black people can't stop talking about slavery. She then asks them to go back to Africa. But then Imani and Malik ask her to leave. Imani and Malik reflect about the bad decision to have Karen over. They fight as relationship tensions are exposed, and they discuss their finances and bringing a baby into a racist world. Imani says Malik isn't making enough money from the community center. They continue to yell at each other about the best time to reproduce. Imani says now's not a good time for a baby with racism and pandemics and Karen at their doorstep. Malik tells her to get her shit together. Malik then walks angrily smoking weed, but then Karen comes out and meets up with Malik. Malik says how Karen disrespected everyone at his housewarming party. Karen bats her eyelashes lustily at Malik, fetishizing his strong black body. Karen goes over to Imani and Malik's house and knocks over the trash while scurrying back into her home. Remarking that trash day is tomorrow. Imani looks at the knocked over trash cans. Karen's daughter comes out of the house to talk to Imani. Karen's daughter helps Imani clean up the trash as they converse and make small talk. Karen's daughter says she has a boyfriend who eats lunch with her and goes on swings. She says her boyfriend is black. Karen's daughter tells Imani that Karen doesn't like black people and doesn't like Imani. Then Karen comes out and tells her to go back into her house. Karen tells Imani to leave her family alone. Karen sees some black people in the park, then asks for them to show ID. Karen then threatens to call the police. Karen then calls the police while they record footage of her on a cell phone. She accuses them of casing. They accuse her of racism while she cries on the phone. The three black teens are then held up by the police while Karen's racist cop brother antagonizes them menacingly. Imani sees the police harassing the black teens and records their racial profiling arrest. Imani and Malik eat dinner sadly. Imani wants to sell the house and says they are living in a neighborhood with a racist as Karen smokes and watches them menacingly. Karen talks with her brother about her fear about black people taking over the neighborhood. Karen wants them out of her neighborhood. She talks about how black people invaded their neighborhood growing up and brought drugs and crime with them. Karen comes into the homeowners association as they tell them they can't let her be president. They tell her that there is a lawsuit against homeowner association and the local police, and how the video of the racial profiling arrest has gone viral. The homeowner association says they can't have her as president anymore. She threatens the homeowner members in an angry fury. Amarni watches news of lawsuit go viral. Karen vomits as she is punished and her makeup begins to drip. Malik celebrates in a bar about Karen getting punished for her racism. Karen stalks Malik while she sicks her brother on him because she suspects he has weed on him, and her brother stalks him on the road and pulls him over. Malik gives his driver's license and registration. He then asks him if he's been smoking weed. Then asks him to step out of the vehicle. Mike pats him down and threatens Malik and cuffs him in retaliation. Mike finds weed in the back trunk. Then punches Malik, who headbutts him. Mike brings Malik into the station. Mike's partner stares him down menacingly and threatens to file a report. Amarni and Malik reconcile as they meet outside of the police station and head home. Karen is sitting on top of Amarni's car and invites her to come make amends, but launches into more microaggressions. And she cries about the crack epidemic. She then says Amarni needs to move and she doesn't want them in her neighborhood. Imani says she doesn't want to move and wants to hire a lawyer and stand up to Karen. Malik and Imani hire a lawyer and Karen watches them menacingly from afar. She conspires to get rid of them once and for all. They talk to the lawyer about Malik being set up. The lawyer says there are some disturbing facts about Karen and her brother. Karen became deranged after her husband was killed by a black vigilante. Her brother Chris is also part of a secret society of cops who protect each other. Malik and Amarni are at home being close, and they are interrupted by a loud knock. Mike is at the front door saying he has a search warrant and finds a gun in the house. And they take Malik into custody and put him in the police car. Amarni calls the lawyer, who says he will check on Malik. Karen stares menacingly on her front doorstep with a gun and walks over with a gun, and she turns off the power. Karen is then at her back door, then comes in knocking out the glass with her gun like a psycho killer and points the gun at Amarni. Karen goes in with the gun screaming, "Let's do this." The lawyer arrives at the police station looking for Malik. Amarni uses a sword as Karen points her gun and slashes Karen's leg, and Karen shoots at her as she runs upstairs. Mike gets a report of shots fired. Karen stalks up to the second floor. Amarni knocks Karen to the floor and punches her as triumphant R&B music plays, but Karen gets the upper hand. Karen is punch drunk and says all she had to do was leave. Mike goes back in and Karen shoots Amarni. They make up a story that Amarni was going to come after them. The good police officer tells Karen and Mike to drop their weapons, then they shoot each other. Mike is shot in the head and dies. The officer is still alive, but then Imani shoots Karen dead in the back of the head while delivering a hilarious one-liner. Amarni goes to the hospital and montage plays as black people all over the country look on, and they hear about the prejudice endured by Malik and Amarni while a saxophone player plays jazz. Amarni joins the HOA and changes the name of the neighborhood to Someone Black, and Malik strokes her pregnant belly. After defeating racism once and for all in their neighborhood, they can finally have a baby.